Welcome to the Fabled Academy podcast. I am your host Alex, and today with me is a player from the UK who just won the recent limited calling in Liverpool. Francesco, welcome to the show.
Hello Alex, thanks for having me on.
Hey, I'm super excited to talk to you now because the calling is actually a pretty amazing tournament to win, and you are not the first time on the channel because we actually got to know pretty early on as I entered Flesh and Blood.
Oh yeah, we had recorded I guess there was two. One in Madrid. I think you did the videos with the gold foils, and then I did a video with you with the deck tech on Uzuri. That was fun tournament with the there was the World Championship in Baltimore.
Yeah, the Pro Tour in Baltimore it was, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I think the calling is a unique tournament for you too because you have some kind of history in trading cards and also in playing limited.
Yeah, I was playing Magic before since 2011, and then I started Fab a couple of years ago. And limited was always my favorite format in Magic, and I had some good results there. I have two top 8s in GPs, which were the calling in Magic. One was top 8, one was top 4. And yeah, generally I would do usually better limited than constructed. So I was very interested in the limited side of Fab, although I thought up to now it was still not great comparing to Magic. I still think CC is a better constructed experience than Magic constructed. But I thought with the set so far, the draft experience hadn't been great. But actually, yeah, heavy hitters is a big change from that. And yeah, the format is really enjoyable. Lots of choices and every hand, the ways you play your hands can be completely different depending on the player and your opponent, and also the way you draft. There are lots of options for draft. Very open. I think they did actually a great job with this one.
So you are agreeing that Heavy Hitters is the best draft set so far in Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, definitely. Not close. Like some people say, Welcome to Draft is like comparable or better, but I think this one surpasses it. There's two things I think, mainly the structure with the dual hero per class. They did it in Outsiders as well, and Outsiders is also one of my favorite formats. Although these people don't agree with me generally, but I really liked it, and I think it helps to have more options within the same hero. Here not all are on par, but especially like for warriors, either of them are valid. Guardian as well. Reiner is not as good as Kaio, definitely, but again, it's good to have the structure when you have more options. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is the dual class cards, which again started with Outsiders. Although there weren't that many in Outsiders, but here there are a good number of cycles of dual class cards, which basically lets you stay open in the draft. You can, rather than say maybe Welcome to Wrath, you could start with generics and then move towards a hero. Or in other formats, you had to sort of pick a hero and stick to it, like Monarch or Blacklights, you kind of had to do that. Here you can pick a hero combination and stick to it until then you make your choice of the specific hero, which, ends up in more powerful decks and better draft experience. So yeah, I think they did a great job with the set.
So I think talking about limited is really important because also the number of limited events was going up in this year. We had quite some limited callings already, and we will see another wave of limited events in the future. So what really makes limited so unique for you? You said like limited is your favorite style of games that you want to play, and why is that the case?
Well, for me, it's that I think the difference between the two, you can say that constructed is about knowing and sort of understanding patterns that repeat. So maybe you have one matchup, I don't know what it could be, Kaio against Victor in constructed. The hands that you will have and the hands that the opponent will have are pretty much always are in a set that it's constant whatever their deck is. So if you pick two different Kaio players that are pretty much going to play the same cards, and you're going to play the same cards as any other Victor players, and once you've kind of memorized or understood how the different hands interact, okay, Victor has to keep this sort of hands to attack. Kaio has to save these cards, I don't know, Blood Rush or whatever, and try to play those ones. And this is how you play the matchup. So it's about preparation and understanding patterns of play. And once you do that for all the matchups, then you've had a good constructed preparation. I mean, this aside from the deck building thing, which is interesting up to a point because not every format really allows to experiment with decks. Sometimes you know what decks are there. There isn't much to do. That's constructed, but when limited, kind of everything is new every time. You don't exactly know what cards your opponent have. You can obviously there is a pool of cards that they could have, but you don't know exactly what is in their deck. And the situations that you have to play with are completely different every time, and also are usually not optimal. If you play, Welcome to Wrath Limited, like you're playing Bravo, you're not going pitch 3 blues, crippling crush. Sometimes you have some crappy cards, and you have to find a way to use them in the most optimal way. You have 2 blocks, and okay, how do I not block with my 2 blocks and use all my cards without making inefficient plays? Then you have to figure it out every time with new hands, and you can't really prepare beforehand for a specific situation. So it's more about intuition, and I just like that style more.
So there are definitely some hoops that you need to go through when playing limited, like you said. But what really makes it such a unique experience when playing at the Calling, and then, like yourself, going to the top 8 and battling all the way to the finals? Like, how does it feel for you to now have won this event?
Well, the tournament experience is always quite unique. I just like playing those big tournaments, like 2 days focused on the game. I like the 2 sides of it, the preparation, so the weeks leading up to it, drafting with the guys here in Southampton, understanding the format, what cards are good, what heroes are good, what better combination of cards for your deck. So all the preparation is already quite interesting. You can form up quite a close group of friends, and with the common goal of doing well at the tournament. And then the tournament itself, it's always an exciting experience. You see, at least for people that attend these things regularly, you kind of know a lot of people that you see only at the tournament. So it's kind of like see all your friends again in one place. And the games itself, I have quite a big competitive side, so that definitely, it's an experience I enjoy a lot. As for how the tournament itself actually went, it was I did quite well on day 1, which was surprising to me because I basically never played Betsy. I played Betsy in the seed portion, and I'd never done so. But again, the limited is good because you can improvise, and it rewards if you can understand on the fly what you're supposed to do. So looking at my pool, it was definitely the case that I had to play Betsy, and I actually thought my deck was bad because it's a Guardian and I had all 2 blocks. But Betsy has the option to always use all her cards with the overpower ability. So I just managed to play an incredibly offensive Betsy deck and seemed to work out. So I went 7-1 on day 1, and then on day 2, they recorded my draft, which was quite bad. I went for Kalia on draft 1, which I thought I didn't really have many options of not doing that. I could have gone Guardian, and Guardian seemed to be quite underdrafted in the format. But then there was one Guardian, was Victor, and didn't even win the draft. So I wasn't too convinced that my draft would have gone better that way. So yeah, I had was quite starving for cards, and my deck wasn't great, so I went 1-2. And then second draft, much better. I drafted Warrior Kasai, and I went 3-0. And then yeah, top eight draft, a couple of matches I recorded. There was also Kasai, went 3-0, and actually my deck was was insane. Now it's kind of, I probably shouldn't say that I expected to win, but I did expect to do well in the top 8 because my deck was really over the top. I was glad that the other warrior, Liam, was on the other side of the bracket, because it meant that I had a relatively easy match before facing the other good deck. And yeah, the top 8 was quite exciting because it was stacked. Lots and lots of good players, lots from the UK. I mean, Pablo Pinton obviously is amazing, and Valentin Makala was a former Magic player as well, and he was good. Naib, I played in the Swiss, and he beat me in the Swiss. He was quite good. And then I got a couple of UK players, Liam, Mark, all quite good players. So I was for Warrior before drafting, although then after drafting I thought, okay, yeah, this is going to go well, and it did so.
So you already said it. Your last deck, you ended up on Kasai, and it was a really busted deck. But what really makes Kasai so strong when having her in a good position when drafting, or even playing her in sealed?
Well, I had lots of the key cards that you would want to Kasai. I think the most important one is Draw Swords. Draw Swords Red gives you at least 4 value because, it's +3 plus the free on us of one sword. That then if you draw a card, you get a free attack on the other sword. So Kasai as a hero plays very well on low amount of cards. So if you hold 2 cards, one is Draw Sword. If you add an agility, you can do 7 with 1 card effectively, because you draw another one, which you then arsenal. And my deck was made exactly to play like that. If you watch the matches, you can see I tend to block a lot, go down cards, and then play with what's left. Then you tend to get goals. You have a couple of things that extend the hand well. I think one of the best cards that people undervalue is Rising Speed. I had a couple, one red, one yellow, and it's just great thing. You always end up drawing cards, and even without an agility, it's like Surging Strike. Surging Strike, maybe you think, oh, it's not that good of a card, but in the format where you play that, then you swing with the sword, it's like you always have 2 extra damage. Plus the gold gives you a card and a resource free. It just changes very well with the other Kasai cards. And then the other things is all the block warrior is obviously the class has most amount of 3 blocks non-attack actions, which could be against other warriors. And I had mostly 3 blocks. I think that was one of the things that my deck which by that was better than Liam's one. Liam had lots of attack reactions, which block 2, which I don't prefer. Like I had some, you're gonna have some, and in fact they did win me the game. But that's what they do, they win you the game at the end. So you don't need a lot of them. They're not very efficient to play during the game because people, I mean, especially obviously, it's the top 8, people know not to block with attacks. So the other effects are usually vigorous engagement, what's the other one? Agile engagement. If they block with an attack, you get the token, but they will never block with an attack early in the game. So it's not a great value card. But having the 3 blocks in those slots rather let you block with your access cards and then just come in with whatever you're left.
So you also spoke about Betsy already. You played her the first time in the weekend. So what did you really learn when playing Betsy and building her as a deck?
Yeah, that was surprising because I'm used to play Guardian, and usually you want to block with Guardian. But this format just doesn't have a lot of 2 blocks. Guardian does have them. Doesn't have a lot of 3 blocks. Guardian does have them, but they just weren't in my pool. So I thought that would be a problem. But at the end of the day, the cards that you want in Betsy are all the red wage bite, wage vigor, or wage gold, plus the auras that give +5, so big bop and bigger than big. So I had those, I had the wage, and then the problem was, okay, if I get attacked, what do I do with all my cards? Because they all block 2, I don't really want to block. And then the answer is, well, you just sink more mana into overpower from Betsy, or you can draw with gold. I had some 3 blocks, so maybe every hand I could block with 1 card, and then it would be like a 3 for 7 plus the overpower. So yeah, basically, actually, with Betsy, you want to be extremely offensive, like keep 3 cards and get those tokens every turn with Betsy, using the overpower from Betsy. But I had the Betsy head as well, which is crazy good. So that helps. Turning gold into gold, you could say it's 1 value, it turns into 2 other tokens, which is 2 value. But also it gives any attack overpower. Any attack to wager. So you can use the Betsy ability on attacks where you normally wouldn't be able to. And a big one that came up a lot was the Rush of Adrenaline. Because Rush of Adrenaline only costs 2, and then if you can give it wager, then you can use the Betsy ability to spend a total of 4, which with the vigor becomes 3. So you can go 2 card 8 overpower if you had the vigor to start with. It's a good way to use vigor.
So when building Betsy and deciding on her, was it really the moment that you saw the helm in your pack? I guess you were opening your pack and seeing the helm right away, and then deciding, okay, this is the time to go into Betsy.
Yeah, I also had the Kasai specialization, the Kasai head.
Oh.
And so I was undecided for a long time, but I went for Guard in the end, because the decks would have been quite similar, because basically all the Wage Vigor, Wage Gold, obviously they are dual class cards. I could have played it in Warrior, but then it would have been an odd Warrior with a lot of 3 for 7 rather than focused on the weapons. And then I thought, okay, Betsy probably works better. I have better equipment, because I didn't just have the head, the full set of Guardian Boots, Vigor Chest, and the Might hands. And then, the reds were very good. I had enough blues, I had the auras, and in Warrior, I had all the 3 blocks. That was what was tempting, but I thought I didn't have enough reds to play Warrior.
Okay, then let's briefly talk about KO, because I think I saw a lot of people taking KO as one of the best heroes that you can really draft in heavy hitters. And what is your perspective on this? How do you view KO when going into a heavy hitters draft?
Well, you just say it there. If people thinks it's the best, that it's not going to be, because draft self-balances. So if there are 4 people on Kaio, that is not going to be the best. And Kaio is also that it can go down in quality very fast, because suddenly you have to play blue Bear Fangs, blue Wild Ride, all these blues long block. And like one reason Kaio is good, well, first, that's the best Tucker then in the game, even like constructed, because it's Bear Fangs. Bear Fang, discard the 6, you get a Might. It's huge value for 2 cards. But the other thing is also that it has a 3-block non-attack action, which is very good against Warrior, the Bellow, which Guardian actually doesn't have, so it turns out that Brute blocks better. Or because Guardian only has 2-block non-attack actions. And also Kaio is going to win most clashes, because all their cards have +1 power. And so yes, of course it's good, but when there are 4 drafters, even if you get 40 cards, you're not going to get the equipment. Where in this set, the equipment is very important, because you actually get a lot of block out of it. You're not going to get because you need multiple Bear Fangs, because the power of the class is concentrated in this one card. So you really need just multiple Bear Fang. Red or yellow is okay, but blue is basically unplayable. And like those you're definitely gonna get back. And you need multiple Bellows to block against Warrior, which you might not necessarily have, and obviously a good number of 3 blocks. Other key cards like Agility Wind Up. If you don't get these cards, then the deck is really not going to be great, and it gets bad very fast. Like Warrior, if there's like a 3 Warriors pod, you probably still get the majority of your cards being 3 blocks. Some attack react. That's going to be fine. But lots of pod will have 4 Kaios. We have seen this, and the deck pool is not going to be great. I mean, the top 8, I don't know how this happened, but the top 8 drafted 2 Rhinar, and the deck's really well, particularly competitive, I would say. Probably one got the head. Well, I know one got the head, and I'm guessing the other one must have got Show of Mercy. But then all the other cards get diluted, and this card's never performed very well.
Yeah, actually there are, as you said, the 2 Kasai players, yourself and Liam in the finals. Then there is Mark Henderson on Reiner and Pablo Pinto on Betsy on the 3rd and 4th place. And then we have Valentin Makel on KO, Yassin on Betsy, Julian on Victor, and Naib on Reiner. So there are a lot of different heroes in the top 8, which really shows that this pool, or actually going into drafting heavy hitters, there are multiple heroes that can be viable, and the cards settle on each of the players. So how would you say to some of the players listening that want to level up their game when it comes to drafting, how can you communicate with your other peers drafting that you want to settle on a certain deck, or that you are looking for a certain deck?
Well, I mean, I guess you shouldn't settle on a certain deck, is the point. And this set allows you to read the table for a few cards. I would suggest choosing one class not to draft, in the sense that you can not always, as in, you open a pack and maybe you pick a double class card. I don't know, there are some particularly good ones, like Lead with Speed, Wage Agility, or the Clash, like something like Clash of Might, or what's it called, Test of Might, Test of the clashes that don't involve Warrior. Those are quite good. And then if you start with Lead with Speed, then you can go Warrior of Brute, and then you can continue picking Warrior or Brute card, as it's still dual cards, until like pick 3 or 4, and then that's where you would know at this point maybe you get pick 4, Bare Fangs red, that's big signal, or pick 4, Draw Source red, that's the big signal in the other direction. And with Guardian, it's a bit different because it's definitely underdrafted. So, like a big signals would be something like you get a Betsy head for pick, or the Victor head, or the other specs like the Golden Sonors would be. This can definitely happen. Those cards go around the table a lot. The only one I would say to really stay away from is Reinhardt, because I don't really know what you're meant to be doing. I think it's pretty much always going to be worse than Kaio, even when you have like cards like Show No Mercy or the Reinhardt head are kind of a trap. The head isn't even good. Show No Mercy is a good card, but then it leads you to play Reinhardt, and then most of your cards are not going to be 6s, unlike Kaio.
All right. So what did win you the calling? What was really the edge that you had above all of the other players wanting to win the tournament?
The edge, I guess, well, in general, I think I'm quite used to the tournament settings and the keeping the focus for long hours of the tournament. At the end of the day, we play 8 hours or so, in fact, maybe. But I guess the limited the durations are off. But yeah, we still play long time for day 1, and then day 2 it's 3 draft. If you top 8, 3 draft plus 9 matches, it takes it takes a lot of endurance and focus. And from given that I've been playing for a while now, I've got a difficult ability to keep focus for a long time, as well as not being affected by the immediate results. Like you can draft a bad deck and then be worried about it, but you can only make it worse if you worry. You have to play your games, starting from the point. Once you've drafted your deck, that's your deck. If you agonize about it, it's not going to make things better. So, like for this sort of mental game, I'm quite used to go through the tournament experience and play with what I have. Same thing with the sealed pool. Like sometimes you have a bad pool or what you think is a bad pool, and it can be kind of soul crushing. But I have managed to day to other tournaments with bad pools, and you can still do it if you're focused and play your cards the best you can. In terms of the actual games, I would say the edge again is that, especially in Flesh and Blood, I come to the drafts table very open-minded. I'm usually plugged in the community enough to know what's the general sentiment about the heroes and the cards, but then again, draft self-balances, so you don't have to go with it. I think that definitely helped me. I remember, now maybe this isn't super level, but for outsiders, there was a general consensus that Ranger was bad, and then I always drafted Riptide, and I had worse results with Riptide. I won a Battle Hardened drafting Riptide in top 8, and at the Proto Baltimore, I had 5-1 drafting 2 Riptide decks. You can sort of tune in and go the other direction sometimes if you're going to be the only player at the table with a specific deck.
So getting value off of your analytical mind and also knowing how the meta works. So what people are actually wanting as their best decks, but then also getting used to playing as best as you can with even when you have a bad pool or a bad deck from your draft or sealed experience. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was really the most challenging part for you about the Calling Liverpool?
Some games were like quite hard. I played some Warrior Mirrors. I mean, the final started kind of hard. I thought that at some point I did get an edge with the Kasai head, but I had some hard blocks to do. I had another game against Mark Henderson, which did top 8. That was in probably round 13, I think. Now the Warrior Mirror, very hard, came to 1-1, lives 1-1, and I had a good read of like an attack react. That's how I won in the end, but it was an incredibly tough game, and Mark's quite a good player. So yeah, I had some tough games. Well, the first draft was rough, so again, getting back to that, playing the games as best as I could with the deck I had, at least I managed the one win, which was very important then in the end. And yeah, so just that really, we had quite an experience with our Airbnb, and which was definitely the worst part of the tournament, but probably not relevant here.
So yeah, there are some hoops that you are going through when going to these tournaments, but for you it was like a home run, right? You are a local in the UK, and so you at least didn't have to fly, I assume, to get to the tournament.
Yeah, we drove from Southampton, like just 4-hour drive. It's actually quite a big deal not having to travel. Like there's definitely home field advantage even for card tournaments. I've noticed, like always when I play in the US, it's always quite. I don't quite have the focus that I would have here. And I remember with Magic, I played the Pro Tour in Sydney, and I basically have no recollection of how that went. After I played like the GP just right after the flight, and I barely remember how the games went. Like I was just consumed by the jet lag.
So how do you then think about Flesh and Blood in Europe in general? How do you like the game here in Europe and the community?
I guess I'd say I'm not like too involved with the community, although I think the players here are really among the best of the game. The UK especially, I played one RTN, that's Road to National Tournament in London last week, and basically, it was 32 players, which basically were already all qualified, and it was like the best players in the UK. You could have really called that the national tournament. Incredibly competitive. Most of these players you would see at international events, as they all tend to like get qualification for Pro Tours one way or another. So some local tournaments in the UK can be basically extremely challenging at the level of a Pro Tour. And same as whenever I've played in other places around Europe, the calling we played in Madrid was we played against Pablo and other lots of good players. There's lots of good players in Germany as well. Many players are actually players that came from Magic that I already knew from before. But yeah, the European players are definitely scary.
So Flesh and Blood is a game for players that were involved in Magic back then, for sure. But what really makes Flesh and Blood so unique when comparing it to Flesh and Blood? So comparing Flesh and Blood to Magic the Gathering.
Well, I guess the main thing that I thought was interesting was how the way the game plays out. You have to be focused at any moment of the game. There's never a moment where you're like, oh, now I win, and I can play the rest of the game knowing I'm going to win eventually. You can lose the game when you're like 20 lives up. There's no like bullshit. I mean, some matchups do, but even then, you could be playing Illusionist and have, I don't know, 5 auras or whatever, and then a few turns later you have nothing and you're about to die. There's no downtime in the game. You have to keep focus, and every turn is high stake. You can you take a turn off or a weak turn, you make a mistake in one turn, your opponents get tempo back, and that might be the beginning of the end, even if you were ahead before. And this tends to not be true in Magic, where the games are tends to snowball from like a certain position and then up until one player wins, but then can take a while. So for me, that was the big thing, especially in CC, kind of works like this. And you have games where you have to be 40 minutes, very focused, and it's a very intense experience throughout all the match.
Right. So I think it's really interesting that kind of we are repeating history in a sense, that Flesh and Blood has all of these great things that Magic the Gathering has from back then, and players like yourself, you experienced that. And now Flesh and Blood, it is a really different game. You said so many positive things about the gameplay, comparing it to Magic the Gathering, but then experiencing all of these great things that Magic the Gathering was inventing back then, in these days that we have now. So let's. Oh, sorry. What did you want to say?
No, sorry. I didn't forget the question.
So I wanted to come to one thing that we might see in the future, because we had an announcement from Flesh and Blood that in this year the World Championship will be a little bit different to the one that we had last year. And so we will see something that is called the Flesh and Blood World's Team Cup. We don't have that many informations about it yet, but there will be additional prize money for teams, the national teams, so to say, that are competing in the World Championship. And it's actually $60,000 that are on the line extra to what the World Champion and the ones competing in the top tables will get. So what was it really that inspired this Team Cup thing from Magic back then? I think you played in 2, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what it was in Magic and what you would assume that will happen now in Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, so in Magic there was this tournament called the World Magic Cup, where, well, before the tournament there was a national tournament or a number of national qualifiers, depending on the year, but these were set up so that a national team was composed. So there would be a captain, which was the best performing player in the year. In Magic was number of pro points. Say, I don't know, in Flesh and Blood it could be Elo, for example, and then the winners of those tournaments would be the rest of the team. And then the team as a whole went to play this tournament called the World Magic Cup, where there will be teams of 4, well, 3 or 4, it changed over the years again, that basically played a team event that was mixed, limited and constructed, and divided by countries. So there was, well, all the countries where the game was played in, and yeah, it was always a great tournament. I mean, team tournaments in general are always the best fun, because you always, you tend to, as I was saying before, you tend to prepare with your friends, but now don't just go to a tournament risking to play against them. Now you just play with them, and it's a completely different experience. And yeah, so that was it for Magic, and it's not super clear to me what this one is going to mean for Flesh and Blood, but I hope that they're gonna do a similar thing eventually, with the Nationals tournament creating a team for this world what they called it, Team World Cup, because at the end of the day, the World Championship, it kind of feels like a Pro Tour in Fab. For now, it has felt like a Pro Tour with more money, which, it's not a bad thing, but the ones up to now, I haven't really felt special in relationship to the Pro Tour. Although both have been great experiences, but just not really differentiated from a normal Pro Tour. So this could be a way to spice things up and have actually the players go in the tournament representing their nation and community. So, well, I hope they implement it as well.
Yeah, I think this is a key point that is worth talking about, because there were so many great things in Magic the Gathering that Flesh and Blood was copying, so to say, and is bringing to the world of Flesh and Blood, which is definitely a good thing. But like you said, and I think there are a lot of people out there who would agree that, of course, the World Championship is the pinnacle of the tournament scene, but it is kind of similar to the Pro Tour, and maybe there are improvements in the future to make to differentiate the World Championship a little bit more from the Pro Tour. And I think when we look at other games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where the World Championship is like very different from all the other tournaments that you can attend and is like the one-of-one thing that only a few players can attend to, which is not a thing that I think most players would want to see in Flesh and Blood, only a handful of people playing in the World Championship. But I guess more people would appreciate if the World Championship feels a little bit more unique when comparing it to a tournament like the Pro Tour. And there are more things, I guess, that need to be attended when only the prize money is higher.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the key in these events is that there must always be an aspiration for any players to actually reach the event. And so if it is too restrictive, maybe you just pick a handful of people, 32 players, say, and then which with with the qualification method that's not even direct, because then if you pick the best 32 players, it would also probably be by a ladder or elo or something like that. Then people won't feel like they have a possibility of access to the tournament. And which wouldn't be great. But what was great about the World Magic Cup, and I hope, it is like this for the World Championship now, because anyone can get the PTI. But even for a Team World Cup, if there were to be such a thing, if the players could qualify to like the national championships that are actually going to happen soon, then there would be a path for anyone to get to this level of tournament, and then get to play the World Championship.
Yeah. So let's talk about a thing that will come up in the future too, and that is, I want to hear from you, like, what is the one thing that you want to see in Flesh and Blood in the future going forward?
Well, we kind of touched upon it. It's more team tournaments. It's the best experience that the game can give, and especially considering the structure of the game where it's divided by hero. You can divide team formats so that you don't play two of the same hero, and then you would have quite a variety of games among teams, which it would be really interesting. And then obviously more limited, and I hope they continue with the strict they've been doing with the I'm gonna take aside bright lights, but if you think of outsiders and heavy hitters, I think those were great limited sets. And I hope they continue on this line, but with dual class cards, multiple heroes in same class, I think that's the way to go to keep the draft interesting and fun in the games.
Yeah, I'm not a player of your stakes, but I played a few drafts myself from heavy hitters, and I can say the dual class cards feel really amazing. So definitely kudos to the LSS dev team and all the ones who came up with all these amazing ideas to make heavy hitters such a great set to draft for us.
Yeah, they definitely did a great job. And yeah, in general, maybe since criticism doing this, but in general, they are doing an amazing job with their competitive scenes, and the tournament experience is always smooth and exciting. So next up, this Pro Tour Relay. I'm really excited to go, and they're doing a great job in general with the competitive aspect of the game.
Yeah, I can definitely underline that. And I wish you all the best of luck in the Pro Tour LA. And I guess you will also go to Pro Tour Amsterdam, right?
Yeah. I will definitely be there. That's also best.
Okay.
About 11 hours flight.
Yeah. Nice. Then we will see each other in the Pro Tour Amsterdam. And until then, is there something here at the end you want to say to the viewers? Maybe a last tip when someone wants to improve their limited play?
I don't know. Well, again, keep an open mind. Don't just necessarily do what don't try to find like the best deck or the worst deck, or stay with the worst deck. Just see what the cards say once you open the pack, and adapt to what's coming.
All right, Francesco, again, congratulations on this amazing achievement, and thank you so much for taking the time to coming here on the Fabled Academy podcast.